Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. I'm confident this episode will help you to have true diamond hands this decade when it comes to Tesla. So go ahead and add it to your calm down playlist for the next time Tesla has a setback or the market starts to tank. We can all easily forget about the heart of today's episode. A few days ago, you probably saw Chamath tweeted this chart showing the metals that Tesla will need to build 20 million cars per year by 2030. We have the material required in tons next to the production levels in 2019. And on the far right, we have the percent of 2019 production that Tesla would need themselves of each metal. While this initially looks like a warning sign of future supply chain issues for Tesla and the EV industry at scale, I want to show you how this is actually one of Tesla's biggest sleeping giants a few years into this decade. We'll get to the all-important second half of the tweet in a moment, but first, I want to highlight a few things. Graphite may not actually be in Tesla vehicles by 2030, and Chamath actually agrees with this as well, for what that's worth, adding also that lithium and nickel will still be very involved by 2030. Graphite is being replaced with silicon as it's a very promising anode material for lithium-ion batteries with higher theoretical capacity than graphite. While resolving silicon swelling and cracking has been a significant challenge in order to achieve a comparable cycling stability to graphite, Tesla and a few others in the space have achieved very promising results in solving these problems. You can watch the video in the card for more on that topic if you'd like. But moving down the chart, the only other metal with a higher percentage was cobalt, and we can be reasonably confident that by 2030, this will also be mostly, if not completely, out of the equation for Tesla. Most of us are probably well aware of the humanitarian issues with cobalt and the unknowability of the true supply chain logistics. So at first glance, we have two, quote, problems that Tesla and all other manufacturers will need to solve for: lithium and nickel. But don't take my word for it, Elon is acutely aware of the importance of nickel.
It's also worth mentioning that although something is called lithium ion, the actual percentage of lithium in a lithium ion cell is approximately 2%. So, I mean, technically our cells should be called nickel.
Nickel graphite.
Yeah, exactly, nickel graphite.
As you can see, Tesla would need 165% of the lithium that was produced in 2019 for their production of 20 million cars, which caused many people to think lithium shortage. This probably isn't the case though, and here is why. Let's have a listen to Simon Moores from Benchmark Mineral Intelligence, the leading experts in the field today.
Simon, you are the leading provider of pricing data for lithium, key ingredient of electric battery technology, but there are concerns that if the world was to start producing electric cars at the current rate of production, we could use up the world's resources within 17 to 40 years. What's missing from that analysis?
Quite a bit, really. I mean, lithium isn't rare. The question is getting it out of the ground in economic quantities. And at the moment, the lithium industry has gone through a surge in exploration and new development, but right now there's not as much investment going into the lithium industry to go beyond 2025. So the numbers you've quoted really are looking at maybe minerals in the ground, but doesn't take into account production that's coming on stream and new exploration that's going to happen. But the takeaway point is lithium isn't geologically rare, but the challenge is getting it into the supply chain in economic quantities.
So I know a lot of you knew this already as well, but I need to set the stage. Lithium itself is not rare, but the challenge lies in the economics of preparing it for use in lithium-ion batteries, a foray that Tesla is working to begin in the coming years. Chamath also went on to tweet that the US also needs to decouple our reliance on China to get and use these metals. I know feelings on Tesla in China are very mixed, as some say the CCP is going to steal and destroy Tesla, and others think there is no greater partnership on planet Earth, but I'm not here to debate either side. Here's a simple explanation of the problem from our resident expert.
The investment has gone into the mid-2020s, as I said, but really the surge in electric vehicle production is coming after that point. And there's a big question mark over where the money is going to come from for all these future lithium mines. But as I said, the exploration, people know these tier 1 lithium sources now. They understand the tier 2 sources. The question is if the money is going to be committed. And at the moment, it's not coming from the capital markets, it's coming from the industry itself.
All right, for the moment, Chinese entities control nearly half of global lithium production, and 60% of electric battery production capacity. Does that become a security concern for other nations?
It has to, especially the US. I mean, when you look at, for certain parts of the supply chain, should I add, so when you look at the lithium structure, you've got 6 big producers, 2 of which are Chinese, 2 of which are actually American producers mining in South America. And the question really isn't on the structure of the lithium industry. That does operate in a sensible, normal, market-driven way. It's actually where this lithium-ion battery capacity is being built out. So we collect this data also at Benchmark, and we've got 1.9 terawatt hours of battery capacity by 2029. It sounds a lot. It means about 35 million electric vehicles. But where is that capacity being built out? It's China. 67% of this battery capacity is in China. How much is in the US? It's about 8%. The question is, if you take Tesla and their huge gigafactory out of the equation, the number is 3%. So the US really should be concerned about these supply chains, and it is playing catch up with China.
So yes, there should absolutely be some level of motivation for the United States to shift some lithium leverage, as I call it, back to the United States this decade. As we've learned with Tesla, vertical integration is really the only way to ultimately control your margins and thus increase your margins in the long term. For Tesla to achieve their goal of transitioning the world to sustainable energy, a feat that is still in its infancy despite Tesla's massive success, these material supply chain challenges that could begin to surface in the middle of this decade need to be addressed, and so far, Tesla is the only company, at least publicly, doing anything about them. Enter the sleeping giant. I'll explain why it is sleeping momentarily.
Think about the fact that now we're actually just directly consuming the raw metal nickel powder. It dramatically simplifies the metal refining part of the whole process. So we can eliminate billions in battery-grade nickel intermediate production. It's not needed at all.
Yeah.
And we can also use that same process we showed on the previous page to directly consume the metal powder coming out of recycled electric vehicle and grid storage batteries. So this process enables both simpler mining and simpler recycling. And now that we have this process, obviously we're going to go and start building our own cathode facility in North America and leveraging all of the North American resources that exist for nickel and lithium. And just doing that, just localizing our cathode supply chain and production, we can reduce miles traveled by all the materials that end up in the cathode by 80%, which is huge for cost.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, cathode production would be part of the Tesla cell production plant. So it would just be, basically raw materials coming from the mine, and from raw materials in the mine, out comes a battery.
The way the lithium ends up in the cell is through the cathode, so then we should obviously on-site lithium conversion as well, which is what we will do using a new process that we're going to pioneer. That's a sulfate-free process again, skip the intermediate. 33% reduction in lithium cost, 100% electric facility co-located with the cathode plant.
We found that we can actually use table salt, sodium chloride, to basically extract the lithium from the ore. Nobody's done this before. To the best of my knowledge, nobody's done this. And it's a sort of, all the elements are reusable. It's a very sustainable way of obtaining lithium. We actually got rights to a lithium clay deposit in Nevada.
Over 10,000 acres.
Over 10,000 acres. And then the nature of the mining is actually, I think, also very environmentally sensitive in that we sort of take a chunk of dirt out of the ground, or remove the lithium, and then put the chunk of dirt back where it was. So it will look pretty much the same as before. And it will not look like terrible, and yeah, it'll be nice. Nice.
Yeah.
And yes, I know there is skepticism in the industry about Tesla's ability to do this at scale, and only time will tell. But for me personally, I will never doubt Elon and the team at Tesla, as they have literally been destroying skeptics for almost 20 years. And I don't see that theme changing anytime soon. But think about it, if by the end of this decade, Tesla is the leading producer of lithium and at the forefront of innovation with nickel in the United States even, not globally, although that is of course possible, this could turn out to be an entire industry and another startup of sorts under the Tesla umbrella. Tesla could then become a supplier of lithium to other OEMs, assuming by that time they will no longer be as supply constrained as as they are today. I wanted to make this video because I can promise you 99% of Wall Street and at least a strong percentage of retail investors tend to forget about these things as we're so enthralled with the day-to-day news flow and the cars and the energy and all of the end products. And I'm in this camp as well, but I like to remind myself of how truly revolutionary Tesla can and probably will be by 2030, a quick 9 years away. So remember, diamond hands this decade for Tesla stock because the material supply chain that Tesla is seemingly moving further and further down while everyone else stands still is going to matter more and more every year. And no one, not myself, not Rob, not Steven, not Jordan, not Ryan, not Yvonne, not Gally, not Andy, not Ben, not Sean, not Sandy, not everyone I'm sorry I missed, can accurately project or predict a market and a business model that has never existed before, that of new lithium generation in the United States and new nickel creation techniques. But cheers to enjoying the ride. Please like this video if you did, consider subscribing for more Tesla content, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I hope that you have a great day.